welcome back, everybody, to the American Superbike Show. I am your host, Stitch Turner, and today we're going to have Volume 2 in our 5 questions series. But before we get to that, I'm give a shout out to our sponsor, Riding Times. You can go to ridingtimes.com and shop. They have just a wonderful selection of e-bikes all the way through like mini motos and other e-motos. And let me tell you, I do fully believe that these bikes are already like the best value out there in all of these segments. You know, if whatever sort of toy you're looking for, give these guys a look. And now when you get to their website, you can use the promo code SBK5 and get an additional 5% off of your purchase. I personally have just one of the regular GT73s. I checked this morning. I have put 991 miles on my machine. And a lot of those miles have been some hard miles too, because I ride that thing through the woods almost daily and I just abuse it. And it just keeps taking that abuse and keeps chugging along. I love this bike. It's one of the best, probably one of my favorite bikes I've ever bought. I also, since we're talking about my bike and everything, I have a couple little stories too from the first 2 rounds. I have one story from each round, Moto America round so far this year. And the first one was when we got to Daytona. I brought my bike with me, and I actually also loaded up my wife's electric bike, and we threw those in the back of the truck, and we were riding them around the place, and we were riding them around the pits and everything too. And it was really helpful to get around and meet some of these commitments that I had with some of the riders, with recording these 5 questions and just introducing myself. And man, we were there in the Speedway for like 2 full days. And we're talking like the end of Friday. So we're going to the pit stop competition, and we get up to the gate. And that was the first time that somebody finally stopped us and was like, "You don't have a sticker on your bike." That was also when I learned that apparently you're supposed to have a sticker on your bike to ride around the pits. Nobody told me, and so I just went out and did it, and I got away with it for like 2 whole days before someone was like, no. So that was Daytona. On the last day, on race day, I pretty much just stayed out in the West Horseshoe with my truck, and when we did ride our bikes up to go to the pits to go walk around, and because you got to do that at least once a day. Whenever we did ride our bikes up there, we just parked them outside the gate that time and locked them up. But so yeah, that was Daytona. And then this past race, I go to Road Atlanta, and I told y'all about how when I first get to the track, I stopped at the Will Call building and got my credentials and everything. Well, I also paid the extra money and got the little sticker so that I can continue to ride my bike. And I loaded my bike up in the back of the truck and brought it with me. And so I get up there and I get my credentials and I pay the money to get the sticker, and I put it on my bike, and I drive into the track, and I go into the infield, and I unload my bike and everything, and I get my backpack, and I'm about ready to go tackle the pits and do my thing. And I realized I forgot my keys. At some point, I don't know when. I have zero recollection of ever doing this. However, that doesn't mean that I didn't do it. But I have no recollection of ever doing this, but I took my dirt bike keys off of the key ring for my truck keys. And so I loaded my dirt bike into the back of my truck and drove it all the way like 350 miles up into northern Georgia just so that I could unload it and have no keys. I managed to get the, it uses one of those proximity sensor keys to turn the bike on and off. And thankfully, I did have a spare one of those. It was down at the bottom of my backpack, managed to dig it out. But this is where it's important, though. I didn't have the keys that you need to unlock the batteries to be able to pull them in and out. I brought my chargers with me, but, the people at the hotel, they were really nice and friendly, but I doubt they were going to let me bring my dirt bike up to the 2nd or 3rd floor. I think it was on the 3rd floor. I doubt they were going to let me bring my dirt bike up to the 3rd floor so I could plug it in my room. But you know what? It didn't matter, because at both Daytona and at Road Atlanta, I managed to ride around for the entire weekend. And I mean, I rode around too, like every day, all day. And I never had to recharge my bike once. So go to ridingtimes.com, check out the bikes for yourself. You should probably get one. You've worked really hard over the past year, and you've been kicking ass, and you've been doing great. So you need to go reward yourself. Go use this coupon code SBK5, get 5% off, and get yourself your own GT73 to take out into the woods and just be a kid again. All right. Well, with all that being said, we will now roll into our 5 question series. Let's see here. I'm pretty much just putting them out there in the order that they were recorded now. First, we're going to have Travis Wyman, and followed by Kyle Ohnsorg and Jayson Uribe. Those were all still recorded back at Daytona. And then we'll be follow that up with Alex Arango, Rocco Landers, and J.D. Beach. So enjoy, and I will see you again next week. And until then, take care of each other. Oh, and one more thing. If you are a writer and you have made a start at a Moto America race this season and you wish to participate in this 5-question series, my DMs are open. Or you can just email me at americansuperbikeshow@gmail.com. I'm not going to tell you no. Anyway, now, without further ado, the 5-question series. All right, we are joined by Travis Wyman for our 5-question series. The answers can be as long or as short as you need it to be, but really just looking for the first answer that comes to mind. And the first one is, did you participate in any other sports outside of racing as a kid?
Yeah, I grew up playing ice hockey. I grew up in upstate New York, and I actually still play ice hockey. I play in 2 men's leagues back in home in Las Vegas, and I absolutely love it.
Awesome. We have a listener submitted question from @MotoCoachShay on Instagram. He asked, if you couldn't be involved in motorcycle racing, what would you be doing for a living?
Probably car racing. My day job, I instruct on 4 wheels. I've worked in motorsports for the last 15 years of high-performance coaching. I've done everything from supercars to Formula cars to now I'm mainly in the off-road space with Ford Racing. So probably try my hand in some desert off-road racing.
Hey, that's a valid answer.
It doesn't pay any money, though, either. So
well... neither motorcycle racing doesn't always pay a lot of money either.
Yeah, I think if I wasn't racing motorcycles, I would be involved in motorsports in some way, shape, or form.
So what was your first race bike?
First race bike was a Yamaha PW50.
And what was the first bike you properly crashed? Like not a little low side or a tip over, like you bend it really hard and you couldn't ride it the rest of the day?
A KX60.
Yeah.
Before the 65, the little rippers with the power bands. I actually almost quit racing after this. I was super young, and it scared the hell out of me. I was racing at a track up in Canada, flat track, and the throttle stuck wide open, and I went through the wooden fence and everything, and it scared the hell out of me.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that sounds terrifying. So the last question's a lot more happier. What's been your favorite experience so far in Moto America?
Probably when I got the opportunity to join my older brother on the factory Harley-Davidson team as a racing baggers.
Yeah. Well, Travis Wyman, thank you very much for your time.
Thanks.
All right, I am joined by Kyle Ohnsorg. Thank you for joining me, sir.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, so we have our 5 simple questions today. The answers can be as long or as short as you need it to be, but I'm really just looking for the first answer off the top of your head. And the first one is, did you participate in any other sports outside of racing as a kid?
So my parents told me that I could do whatever I wanted as far as sports. I thought about doing track or maybe like wrestling, something like that. I just had a lot of energy, but what they told me is that it's on the weekends, right? So I'm not going to be able to race my motorcycle anymore if we do that. So I don't know if they were trying to steer me or whatever, but no, we just stuck to doing motocross and flat track and ice racing basically. So then road racing eventually.
Well, we have a listener submitted question from @MotoCoachShay on Instagram, and it is, if you couldn't be involved in motorcycle racing, what would you be doing for a living?
Yep, so so my background is actually electromechanical engineering, right? So I went to Mankato State up in Minnesota, got a degree in computer engineering, actually, and then spent 8 years as an R&D engineer at Indian Motorcycles before going off and doing my own company, Adrenaline Engineering. So I would probably be around motorcycles anyways.
So what was your first race bike?
Yeah, so my first race bike was a Yamaha PW50. So I think, so my parents found out, so you had to be 4. My older brother raced, and I would always ride with him, but we'd go to the races. And because I was too young, they wouldn't let me race, but I guess I would run around with my helmet and my boots on, and I was just a menace. And my mom said no more going to the races unless Kyle was able to race as well. So what they did is they didn't fill up the age gap and just started me out racing. I said when I was 3. Yeah, it's good
That
fun.
works. So, what was the first bike that you properly crashed? And I don't mean like a little low side or it just fell over. Like you bent it hard and you couldn't ride it the rest of the day.
Ooh, I think it was like a 2002 GSXR 600 that I had as far as the road race side. That was one of my first bikes transitioning from motocross over to road race, and quickly learned that there's grip differences and tire differences, and I set myself to the moon. So that was my first one there. I mean, motocross, I couldn't tell you. It's been forever. So
yeah. And then the final question is, what has been your favorite experience so far in Moto America?
Yeah, my favorite experience so far in Moto America would probably be just getting to go to all the different tracks, traveling around with my team. We've been friends for a long time, even before the racing stuff. And I got my wife that comes along. She does all my data acquisition. My little man comes around with us too. He's 11 months old now. So just, really, it's just such a fun kind of family environment. We get to do it all together, and not everyone gets to do this. So we really appreciate the opportunity and just being together. So you got to make the most of it.
Well, thank you for joining us, sir.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
I am joined by Jayson Uribe. Thank you for joining me.
Hello.
So we're doing just 5 simple questions. The answers can be as long or as short as you need them to be. Just really looking for the first answer that comes to mind. And the first one is, did you participate in any other sports outside of racing as a kid?
Oh man, I participated in baseball, football, basketball, martial arts. I sucked at all of them. I realized that motorcycles was really the only thing I was good at, and here we are.
Right. Our second question is a listener-submitted question from @MotoCoachShay. He asks, if you couldn't be involved in motorcycle racing, what would you want to do for a living?
Oh man, I'm part of the fire department in my off time, especially in the off season. So I would say if I wasn't in racing, I would devote much more time to that. It's definitely a big passion.
You kind of already answered that question. So the third question, what was your first race bike?
My very first race bike was a CRF 50 that I literally broke in half.
Well,
yeah.
The fourth question is, what is the first bike you properly crashed? So I think it covers both of those.
Yes.
Well, the fifth and final question is, what has been your favorite experience so far in Moto America?
Man, my favorite experience in Moto America would probably be being able to ride with some of my lifelong friends in a competitive race team on competitive motorcycles. That's last year for me, riding with Enderly was a dream come true, and it's something I look back very fondly on. So that's definitely that's probably number one.
Well, Jayson Uribe, thank you very much for your time.
Appreciate it.
I am joined by Alex Arango. Thank you for joining me, sir.
Thank you for having me.
So your answers can be as long or as short as they need to be, but I'm really just looking for the first answer that comes off the top of your mind. And the first one is, did you participate in any other sports outside of racing as a kid?
Yeah, I raced go-karts. I did a little bit of car racing as I got older, and I attempted to skateboard. That didn't work, and I attempted to play basketball, and that didn't work.
Well, our listener submitted question is, if you couldn't be involved in motorcycle racing, what would you want to do for a living?
Car racing, probably.
You know,
if
that
it wasn't
works.
motorsports related, construction, building home, like building luxury homes, I think would be cool.
That does seem like a lot of fun. The third question is, what was your first race bike?
A R6, 2012 R6.
Oh, wow. So what was the first bike you properly crashed? And I don't mean like a gentle low side, but like you yard sailed it. You couldn't ride it the rest of the day. What was the first bike you did that to?
One of Desmo Maniacs is 848. That they let me borrow and I destroyed it.
Oh, man. Well, our final question is, what has been your favorite experience so far in Moto America?
My favorite experience has definitely been when Sean Dylan Kelly won the race in Texas with one of my bikes, and with the, the colors for the kids. I think that was probably man, that could easily be a highlight of a lifetime. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, that was at Coda Race 2 in 2024, I believe.
Yeah.
It was a great race too to watch.
It was an amazing race. It was a crazy race. He did a hell of a job. The kid thing with the kid was just it's one of the craziest things that I can't say crazy. One of the coolest things I've ever done in my life, and then to have one like that is just it's there's no word. No words can describe that.
Well, Alex Arango, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you.
I am joined by Rocco Landers. Thank you for joining me, sir.
No worries. Appreciate you having me.
So your answer can be as long or as short as it needs to be, but really just looking for the first answer that comes to the top of your mind. And the first one is, did you participate in any other sports outside of racing as a kid?
Nothing really organized. I raced BMX on the little at Sycamore. BMX was what the place was called. It was out in Simi Valley in SoCal where I grew up. But nothing really organized besides that. Like occasional flat track racing, but I feel like that's kind of alongside road racing. But I mean, I was always a fan of hockey, but I never got to play until actually quite recently. It's just something I picked. Just was like, yeah, something I've always wanted to do, but I don't play it much. I mostly just do stick and puck.
Well, our second question is a listener submitted question, and it is, if you can't be involved with motorcycle racing, what would you be doing for a living?
Like if I started at the same age for road racing as I did like something else, probably I would try to definitely be another different sport.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I feel like I enjoy competing in things.
That's a good answer. A lot of professional athletes, they like being professional athletes, and they probably can be a professional athlete in something else because
I mean, I would hope so. I don't know. I mean, right now I'm kind of locked in on racing, so
well,
see how far it takes me.
You're not the first person to go with that answer.
Yeah.
Our third question is, what was your first race bike?
Ooh. So my first race bike was a Blada. It was a pocket bike. It was 40cc. Got it from an old friend, Eric Anderson. His son used to race. Kenny was an old friend. We got Kenny's race bike. It was a little Blada 40. Then like my first like proper race bike that was like made to go was a little DM pocket bike, which just had a little more power and it was a little more fine-tuned. That was an Italian bike.
Well, what was the first bike that you properly crashed? And I mean, it was yard sailed. You couldn't ride it the rest of the day.
I mean, like an injury or like due to injury or because the bike was the tricks. My dad was always the hardest worker there. And he would never let me end on a crash unless it was unsalvageable, which it rarely was.
Right. He made sure that you could always ride it that day. Well, I mean, injury counts. We've had that answer.
Yeah, I guess I hurt my hand when I was like, I don't know, 7 or 8. Yeah. I'd crashed an NSR 50, but like I remember yard sailing a couple pocket bikes before that because those things were so stiff because they had no suspension. So like anytime there was any bumps or ripples of any kind, it would upset the thing, and it was just gnarly. And they had quite a bit of power, some of them, for what I was used to because I was so young. So sometimes I'd flip those things, but they crashed well.
Well, our final question is, what has been your favorite experience so far in Moto America?
Ooh, that's a tough question. I mean, the coolest thing for me is I have a few answers for that. Number one, like how far I was able to go with my dad in racing. Like we were racing bikes. He was building on the porch in Super Sport, and we were able to win races. That's pretty insane. Definitely my first bagger win with Vance and Hines, and being a part of the whole Vance and Hines kind of what Vance and Hines is. Everyone knows. I mean, right. It's the oldest team I think that still races in the paddock in Moto America, and Terry has so much experience. So that in and of itself is pretty awesome. But yeah, definitely Super Sport or bagger wins would be the top ones.
Well, Rocco Landers, thank you very much for joining us.
No worries. Today. Appreciate you.
All right. Joining us today in our 5-question series is JD Beach. Thank you for joining us, sir.
Thank you.
So your answers can be as long or as short as they need to be, but really just looking for the first answer that comes to your mind. And the first question is, did you participate in any other sports outside of racing as a kid?
No, not really. When I was a kid and I was racing, it was always a thing with my dad. If I played sports, I might get hurt, so I couldn't go racing. So he didn't care if I got hurt racing, but he didn't want me to get hurt not racing. So sports weren't a big thing for me.
Well, our second question is our listener submitted question, and it is if you couldn't be involved with motorcycle racing, what would you be doing for a living?
Oh, if I mean, honestly, uh, if motorcycle racing was never a part of my life, I'd probably be my dad was a heavy equipment mechanic, so I'd probably be doing something like that. If I was never a part of racing and stuff like that. I think with the knowledge that I've learned now, I could probably find something else to do. But yeah, if it wasn't for racing, I'd probably be eating gas station food and working on stuff. And there's nothing against that, but that's probably what I'd be doing.
I, I did it for 12 years, so it was a lot of fun. Uh,
Yeah.
so our third question is, what was your first race bike?
My first race bike was I think it was a 1973 JR50. And of course, I'm not that old, but that's what the bike was.
So then, what was the first bike that you properly crashed, and not just like a little low side, or but it was yard sailed, you bend it hard, and you just couldn't be ridden the rest of the day.
I mean, I think e- every bike I've ever had, what I've crashed because I started riding when I was 2.5, and I started racing when I was 3. But I do remember when the first time I ever road raced. Uh, it was a little bit before I went to Europe to try out for the Rookies Cup, and my dad and I went to Utah to do a track day with the Bostroms, and my dad had bought me a RS 125 to ride, and it seized the first lap. So my dad went into town and financed a brand new Honda, a Honda 600, and brought that out to the track, and I rode it all weekend. And then on the end of the second or third day, I can't remember if we rode 2 or 3 days, but at the end of the track day, at the end of the day, I tucked the front on it, and I mean, I was 14 or 15, tucked the front on it, and beat it up pretty bad.
Oh. Well, our last question is a little bit more lighter, and it is, what has been your favorite experience so far in Moto America?
Favorite experience in Moto America. I mean, it's hard to pinpoint one. I mean, I've been blessed with the career that I've had, and around the people that I've been around. Um, One moment that really sticks out though is when Hayden and I both won at at VIR, because that was on May 5th of 2019. And May, for the people that don't know, May 5th is it was May 5th, '07, but that was when Ethan, which is Hayden's little brother, mm, passed away. And so me and Hayden, most of the time we always raced against each other. But on that day, I was racing super bike and he was super sport, and I got my first win on that bike, and he won that day. So that was a really cool moment.
Well, JD Beach, thank you very much for joining us.
No problem.